What's up, guys? Welcome back. This is part 2, pros and cons. Should you get a rooftop tent? Alright guys, welcome back to Adventure Outline. This is part 2 of a 2-part series that I am filming on my rooftop tent, and this is all going to be basically on the pros and cons of owning a rooftop tent. And if you're in the market for one, I hope it'll help you make the decision either to get it or pass. So I'm actually going to start off with the negatives because I like to end on a positive note. And personally, for me, there's more positives than negatives regarding the rooftop tent. The first negative is the price. These things are stupid expensive, and so as I shared in the last video, I spent about $1,871 on my tent, and I got it on sale. This particular tent normally goes for, I believe, about $2,400. There are cheaper tents out there, and there are tents out there that are way more expensive. I've seen tents up to like $4,000, $5,000, and now they're coming out with new stuff that's just stupid expensive. But those things aren't even tents anymore. Anyways, guys, so that is the one of the biggest con. The biggest con to me is the price. They're very, very expensive, and so if this is something that you want, I think it's super important to understand the pros and cons, because that's a lot of money to spend on a tent. Another con is the fact that, and this has been, honestly, this has been the biggest con for me personally. The biggest con for me has been, once this is set up, your rig can't move. And so if I'm at a place where I'm camped, but I need to, head out to the trails each day or head into town each day for ice or something or whatever, even if there's an emergency, somebody gets bit by a snake or blows an ankle out or whatever, the fact of the matter is the tent is set up and the truck can't move. And so anytime I need to go somewhere, if I can't walk there or get a ride from one of my other camping buddies, I got to take the truck and I got to fold everything up. And it doesn't take that long. The tent I can actually fold it up within 10 minutes. Personally, I think it actually takes longer to put the tent away than it does to take it out. That is unless you're putting the annex room on. Anyways, so guys, so that to me is the biggest con for me is my truck just becomes immobile once I have the tent set up and I can't go anywhere. So anyways, guys, the next con is that with having a rooftop tent, a lot of times for me personally, I like to camp out on public land, BLM land, dispersed camping areas, and a lot of those places, not a lot of them, all of them are pretty much first come, first serve. And so because my tent's mounted on the top of my truck, and if I fold it all up and take off, I really have no base here anymore. I have no base camp here. There's nothing here. And so I can lose my camping spot. Now, that's rarely happened because, believe it or not, a lot of people just don't camp on public land, BLM land, and areas like that. There's a handful of people, but most people are just like, hey, where's the paid campsite and stuff, which is cool. More power to you. But that's one of the downsides is if I pack up, I'm going to end up possibly losing my campsite. So one of the next cons that I have about the tent is that in the middle of the night, if you got to get up and go to the restroom or something like that, you're going to have to come out, climb down the ladder, and the ladder can be somewhat cumbersome. It's not that big of a deal, but it can be somewhat cumbersome when you got to get up in the middle of the night and climb down a ladder and go take care of business. So it's something minor personally to me, but it's something I thought was worth mentioning, and so that can definitely be a con. The next con that I have about the rooftop tent, guys, is that they are really heavy. They're super, super heavy. And the reason why I'm mentioning it is because, I don't leave my tent on my truck full time. I put it on there when I'm going to go camping. I'll leave it on there if I'm going to go camping multiple times within a month's period or something like that. But for the most part, I'll probably only be going camping like once a month. And so I'll actually take it off once I'm done with it. But they're really, really heavy. My tent, I believe, weighs about 200 pounds. And you always need at least 2 to 3 people to put it up on the truck. Now, I personally don't have that problem. I'm a business owner, and so I actually keep my my tent at my warehouse, and I have genie lifts at my warehouse. So for me, it's actually really easy. I'm able to take the tent off completely by myself because I literally come in with a genie lift that has 2 forks, come in, pick it up, pull it off, and go put it off to the side in the warehouse. So for me, it's not a big problem. But for people that maybe don't have a lot of room in their garage and stuff like that, you're going to have to take this 200-pound tent on and off, and always have to have somebody to help you. Now, if you have room in your garage and you can make a pulley system, I've seen a lot of people do that. That's a great idea. Go ahead and do that because you're going to need it. But that's the other thing. The other con is you got to have a place to store this thing. It is huge. It's massive. When it's folded up, it's about 4 feet wide by about 5.5 feet long, and so it's pretty big. And you're going to have a place to store this. The next con that I have, guys, is also the fact that when you're done with this, if it rains like it did last night or the night before, I camped out in Texas and literally a whole thunder, rain, lightning storm came by with, I don't even know, 30-mile-an-hour winds. Came by, soaked the tent and stuff like that. One thing that you're going to have to do is if you have to leave right away and it's rained the night before and your tent's not dry, you need to take it home and you need to open it up the way it is right now and air it out and let it dry completely. I've seen people literally destroy their tents because they didn't do that. They didn't air them out. They got home, they left it folded up, they opened it up on their next camping trip, and the entire tent was moldy and mildew and completely destroyed. And so, and in order for me to do that at home, for the most part, I would have to park my truck in my driveway, open this whole thing up and let it sit for hours and hours and hours in the sun and make sure that it was completely aired out and dried before I put it away. So that's something that you need to be mindful if you live in an apartment and you really don't have a place to park this. I mean, you may just have to go somewhere and figure it out or whatever. If you live in an area where it rains a lot, I know it rains a ton in the Northwest of the United States, and if you don't have a garage or something like that, or maybe you do, but your vehicle is too high with the tent to put it in there, you're going to have to figure something out in order to open up your tent. Now, so one of the suggestions I do have for you is if your garage isn't tall enough for you to fit your rig inside with the tent on, just have somebody help you take the tent off, put it inside your garage, and just open it up on the floor. So I definitely would tell you guys to do that, but you need to make sure that this gets aired out, and it can be kind of cumbersome again because you got this big rig you got to park in front of your house and open this whole thing up to let it air out and dry. But you really need to make sure you do that, otherwise you're going to destroy thousands and thousands of dollars of your investment here. So now that I've shared with you what the cons are, let me share with you what the pros are. All right, guys, so what are the pros about owning a rooftop tent? The first pro for me personally is the fact that you're off the ground. I love being off the ground. I love the fact that my tent isn't completely dirty from being on the floor, from people walking in and out of it, walking all around it, kicking dust as they're walking around the tent, stuff like that onto it. I'm really, really happy that my tent is, for the most part, always clean. Because it's off the ground. If it rains, and it has rained when I've camped, your tent will just get muddy and gross. You got to go home, you got to hose it down and all that stuff. And so being off the ground is a huge positive just for the cleanliness of it. The other reason is just keeping you away from the ants, the little critters and stuff like that. If a bear wants to get up there, he's going to get up there. If a cougar wants to get up there, cougar's gonna get up there, whatever. But the other little scavenger critters, the little coyotes, the snakes, all of that stuff, they're for the most part not going to get up there. Could the little critters get up there? Yeah, they can. They can climb up the ladder, whatnot, and stuff like that. But for the most part, in my mind, you're a heck of a lot safer up there from those things. So that to me is the first big pro. My next pro about owning the tent is one of the things that I absolutely love. And that's the fact that it has a built-in mattress inside of it. I absolutely love that. The mattress is actually pretty comfortable. I believe it comes with a 2-inch mattress, and it's pretty comfortable. My wife and I, we actually put another memory foam mattress on top of that, which added another inch, and that was perfect. So we have 3 inches of mattress, and that stays in there. I don't have to take it out in order to fold up the tent or anything like that. It has lived in there ever since I put it in there, and so you don't have to worry about taking that out. And those 3 inches of mattress have really, really made life so much comfortable. And the fact is all I got to do is open that up and it's ready to go. And I absolutely love that. I don't have to deal with blowing up mattresses and mattress pads and all that stuff. It's in the tent always, and I absolutely love that. So the next pro about it, guys, is I love the quick setup time of the rooftop tent. Is it the fastest? No, it's not the fastest, but it's fast enough for me. You know, when I come out camping, guys, I'm not in a hurry. I'm really not. I'm out here to get away from the hurry. I live in Los Angeles. I work in the entertainment industry, and everything is go, 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 go. When I come out camping, I ain't trying to hurry. Okay, I'm enjoying my time setting up my tent. It's part of the enjoyment of being out in the wilderness. So, but that is one of my biggest pros about the tent is its quick setup time. You know, I can literally have the cover off, set up, put all the windows up within 5 minutes, and have my sleeping bag inside and pillows and everything within 5 minutes. It's awesome. Now, if I put the annex on at the bottom here, that actually adds probably another 5 minutes. That thing is somewhat of a pain to put on. It's not too bad, and honestly, it's probably not 5 minutes. It's probably another 3 minutes or so. But it's really, really awesome. And it's quick setup time. And the next positive, guys, about the rooftop tent is the fact that you know, I've camped in severe winds, severe weather, and the fact that this thing is bolted to the truck is awesome. I love the fact that it's bolted to the truck. About 2 nights ago, I was camping out in Texas near Amarillo, and the wind was just shaking the whole tent, shaking the whole truck. A whole thunderstorm had come through. We had lightning and thunder, and I mean, just, man, it was sketchy. It was super sketchy, but the tent held up, and it was rock solid, and I absolutely love that. I've slept in ground tents, and every wall I thought was going to collapse in on me. One of my buddies, his tent completely destroyed in the wind. The wind kicked up. We were out in the desert. The wind kicked up, and it literally destroyed his tent. And he ended up having to sleep in my trailer that I had brought. And so this thing has just been rock solid, and that's definitely been a pro of just the weather, the elements, the high winds. This thing is rock solid. It's not going anywhere. Moving on to my next pro is the fact of the tent being leveled. If you have a ground tent and you're on a campsite, whether that's paid or free, it doesn't matter, and the ground isn't flat, there is no way to level a ground tent. The fact that the rooftop tent is on my truck, I can use max tracks, I can use pieces of block wood, rocks, to literally level my truck wherever it's going to be, and that will level out my tent. And that's awesome, because I've slept in ground tents where there was just no way we were going to level this thing. We did the best we could, and literally in the middle of the night, I'm rolling over onto my wife, or, you know, all the blood's going to my brain because I'm sleeping, feel like I'm upside down. But that has been a huge positive, because there's been many places where I've camped and the ground just isn't flat. The cool thing is I can level out the truck, and if I level out the truck, that levels out the tent, and we're sleeping nice, flat, and comfortable. That also helps if you have drinks and stuff in your car, inside your tent or whatever. They're not going to spill over because they're off level and stuff like that. And so, guys, that moves me on to my next pro about it. even though the annex is somewhat cumbersome to put on, it takes a little bit of extra time, it's not that big of a deal. The cool thing about having the annex on the bottom, I don't have it on now. I didn't put it on last night when I went camping. But the cool thing about having the annex is having a whole nother room down at the bottom of your tent. It is really, really awesome. My wife and I typically, again, we'll sleep up at the top and stuff, but we'll actually have, you know, our toilet set up down at the bottom. That way in the middle of the night, sure, I can go down and take care of business. We'll have our changing area down there. We'll have our extra clothes down there. You know, if we're not using it for that and we have other people with us, like the kids or whatever, a lot of times we'll set up a bed down there and that'll be their area, and then me and my wife will sleep up at the top. And so it adds a whole nother element to the tent and gives you so much more room. They call this a 3+ tent, and it is. Now, comfortably, two grown-ups are perfect. It's awesome because you have plenty of room. But you could sleep 3 people up at the top. You could actually sleep more. It would be really tight. But there, and then have another 2 people down at the bottom. And it's really, really awesome. And it gives you a place to stand up. That's one of the things is inside the tent, you really can't stand up. It's got a good high ceiling, but you can't stand up in there. You can kneel, change your clothes if you wanted to. But the cool thing is you put the annex on and you got a whole nother changing room down there. You can stand up, no problem, and change your clothes, do whatever you need to do, and you're good to go. And that's without having to set up an entirely another changing room or toilet room or whatever. So definitely positive there. All right, guys, so there you have it. Those are the pros and the cons of owning a rooftop tent based on my opinions. Again, I've owned this tent for about 6 to 7 months. I absolutely love it. Even though it does have some cons, I absolutely wouldn't go back. I'm really happy with it, and I am super, super thankful to have it. It's been a blessing. But guys, I really hope that you liked this video. If you have any other questions about the tent, any pros and cons that you can think of, please list them down below. I'd love to see them, love to check them out. And if you have any questions, leave those down below as well in a comment, and I'll definitely answer your question. Guys, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please kick that subscribe button. Give us a like, give us a thumbs up, share this video with your friends. Check us out on Instagram at Adventure Outline. See a lot of the behind the scenes stuff with this. And as always, guys, I'll see you next time right here on Adventure Outline. Peace!